thesis. So David has supervised a lot of software projects from the first idea over integration till continuous support and relaunch. David has been working at the medical faculty of the University of Basel since 2007. So David and Daniel, I'm glad that you are going to present the BeAXi E-Assessment webinar today to us. So I give you the word.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Natalie. And welcome to everyone out there. It's actually my first webinar I'm doing here, so it's kind of strange feeling, but also a good feeling. And yeah, let's see how it goes. Today I want to take you to a journey to my desktop, actually, or to our desktop that we're using when we're working with BeAXi. As you can see, we are quite orderly persons, so our desktop is very orderly. And first of all, I want to introduce you to what BeAXi actually is. And if the presentation is working here, I can switch my slides. All right, yes, that's it. It actually all started in 2010 when the medical faculty of the University of Basel got somehow tired of managing their MC assessment questions in a FileMaker database, because that database did the job quite well, but it was limited in functionality and also usability. So you had a central organ where you can put your questions, manage your questions, but you didn't have any information on how good these questions were, or what could be improved and stuff like that. So we saw a lot of improvement there. We could try with a new application and go even a step further. At that time, also tablets were becoming increasingly popular because Apple released their first iPad in the beginning of 2010, and this was quite a hype back then. And still is today, and we saw some good chances there to really do a step also in the way of mobility, because we had e-assessments that were conducted on PCs for the medical students, but with tablets we even saw a major improvement to be taken off. And and I want to start with a poll actually, and I would like Natalie to show the first poll that we've prepared, which asks you the question if e-assessment is already a topic in your institution, and we will see what you fill in there. I guess it takes some time that you can read all the answers, and we have these questions, and based on that we will have a follow-up question as well. Okay, so rarely speaking about it, yeah. Hopefully you will speak a little more about it after this webinar. Oops. Okay, some are working in that direction, at least. Yeah, I see resources is also a big problem, and we have a lot of people there who are already conducting e-assessments, which is actually great. Okay, I see the poll is closed right now, and this question is directed to all the ones that already are already conducting e-assessments or planning to do so, which is if you're already conducting e-assessments by today, what kind of applications do you use, or have you been using so far? And this is actually an open question for you to answer, so we can get an impression on what you're using there. Yeah, see, Moodle is quite famous. Moodle and SEB, yeah. I thought so. Okay. Yeah, I see. The verdict is quite clear. So we got Moodle, SEB, and VDI. And hopefully after today's presentation or in the future, yeah, we will see some BeAXis right there as well. And yeah, let me continue with the next slide. One question that immediately arises when considering the BeAXi solution is, why are we using iPads or tablets in general? And you see, this is a map of Switzerland, and Switzerland is a wonderful country actually, but Switzerland has a huge problem. And the problem is that you have actually so few space to build e-assessment PC rooms on it, or actually to build anything, because around 60% of the area of Switzerland is not actually you're not actually able to build things or buildings on it, anything. And this is why we need to take a step in the direction of mobility, and that's why we have chosen tablets, or especially iPads, to go in that direction. It's also the case. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. It's also the case that 60% of the market of tablet PCs are iPads. Rather high, but it was also a fact for us to take iPads into account. And what was a major criterion right there is the deployment of iPads. The deployment is easy to handle. You get large cards where you can connect a bunch of iPads. In our case, it's around 50, and you can deploy them just at once. So 50 iPads at once means for 200 iPads, which we are using currently at the medical faculty, it's really an easy thing to deploy the exam data to the iPads. And recently, Apple released a new technology within their technology set, the mobile device management, where you can even deploy the iPads wirelessly. So you don't even have to connect them. You could just deploy the exam data to the iPads, 200 bunch. So that was really convincing arguments for me. And that immediately brings me to the third survey. Sorry, Natalie, that's your part again. The third survey is about whether you are actually using iPads or tablets in general in your institution, be it for education, for meetings, stuff like that, just to playing around, see what you can do with them. Yeah. Okay, I see there's a slightly more. Oh, okay, it's equalized now. 7 to 7. Got some participants missing. Okay, I think we can close that one. That's quite an equalized result there. And now for the ones that are already using iPads or tablets in their institution, I'd like to want to know what kind of tablets you are using. Are these iPads like the market share dominant by Apple? Are these Samsung tablets? Windows tablets, and that will be Natalie's part again to pull that poll up. Okay, and you can choose multiple values there. Maybe you have several tablets there. Apple iPad, Samsung, Windows. Okay, so we see most likely some of the institutions are using both, maybe to compare them as well. But I think that the market share there, as I presented it, is kind of visualized in this poll as well. So let's move from the iPads to the BeAXi Manager, which is the software that allows you actually to manage questions. It allows you to manage exams, to evaluate exams, which we will see just in a bit. And the BeAXi Manager for us was actually the component that should replace this FileMaker database. And it should give you more freedom in creating your exams and therewith also creating better exams. And what's great about the BeAXi Manager is it comes with 15 predefined question types, if you so want. And these question types could be, for example, just simple single choice questions. They could be multiple choice questions. You can combine these questions with multimedia. We support audio files, image files, video files at the moment. And you got the possibility to put in textual answers, so questions with textual answers that are rather short or even longer. So actually you could write whole essays in an exam. And what's also quite new in this direction is the thing that you have the possibility to put, for example, images in the exam and let the examinee pick out specific points that are meant to be the answers. So we will see that in a bit when I show a short demonstration of the BeAXi iPad client, what it's actually meant there. And I don't want to go too much into detail here what the BeAXi Manager can do, everything, all the stuff, because we wouldn't have the time to go into very much detail. I will give you, or Natalie can send you a link where we have more detailed presentations online where David really explains what everything can be done in the BeAXi Manager. Rather than that, I want to tell you that you are able to, from the question types, create your very own questions. You can also not only the own questions, but you can specify your own question types. If you're not happy with the 15 ones we're providing already, you just create your own question types that are to your very specific needs. From that, you generate your questions, and further on, you create whole exams with the questions, which you then would export to an XML file. And I assume here that there are not that many technicians in the chat, and I can assure you that's the most technical part in the presentation that we're going to have. So the XML file, or an XML file in general, is there to exchange data between different components. So you get an interface where two different components can talk to each other, and in our case, this is this XML file. What's great about it, when you created your exam, you just create that single one XML file. You got additional multimedia files separately, of course, but the whole structure of the exam file is written in the XML, which you just deploy to your 50, 100, 200, 500 or 1,000 iPads, and you can start off then by doing the exams. And talking about the BeAXi iPad client, I want to show you what it is actually. It's actually the main component of BeAXi, and it allows you to actually conduct the exams themselves. And what's really it seems like not too big of an application, and it actually isn't, but there is so much engineering behind it, because when you're doing exams, this is a great stress situation for all the examinees, and the least you want to do is bother them with components or things in the application that they do not really need. So we really put a lot of effort there to guarantee a good usability and only provide the things that an examinee really needs during the exam. And instead of talking about this picture here, I actually want to show you a live demo of the BeAXi iPad client. And let me quickly put this screen here. I hope you can all see that. I think you do. And now we're actually in the BeAXi client itself. I'm working now on the iPad. That's why I'm not looking to the camera all the times. Sorry about that. No, but the thing is, I have here a demo exam on the BeAXi client, and here I have a question, a single choice question, where I'm asked what's the heaviest living bird, and let's say I choose the ostrich. Maybe I'm not sure about that. Well, let me choose the king penguin. It froze, I guess. Hold on. Okay, it's got it now. So, and now this is a question where I marked some answer, but I'm not really sure about the correctness of the answer. So what I can do now is I can use a traffic light system we've built in on the top right there. And I can mark this question a level of certainty. So right now, as I said, I'm not really sure about the question, and I indicate that by pressing the orange button. And what you may have seen is that on the top bar, there is some change in this progress bar. There is now an orange area which went a little bigger, and there's a 1 in there. So this top bar always gives me an impression on the whole set of exam questions with my level of certainty. So once I finished, or once I've gone through all the questions, I can really go back to all the questions which I was not sure about and review them again. So if I'm going to the next question now, which is an image actually, and this image got some spots in it, spots that I have to label. And what we see there is that it's actually free text. So I think this one here would be the ear of the cat. I save that, and as you can see, this spot turned green. That's also a great thing about the BeAXi iPad client. I can always, with images, I can always use the pinch zoom with the fingers to really go into as much detail as I want if I'm about to label something. And so let's put here the eye, and that's most probably the nose. So, and now the question, or the top bar, indicates me that I have answered an additional question. So we got 2 right there. And with these questions, I'm pretty sure that it's correct. So I put the green tick there, and I proceed to the next question. So that's what I can do with all the exam questions. And let me assume I've gone through all the questions so far, and now want to check with which questions I have to review. So I take a step to this quick menu bar up there, and I see this is a list of all the questions in the exams. And what's great about it is that I can also see my level of certainty that I've indicated with the traffic light system. So I see, oh, right there we have a question that I was not sure about, and I can review the question again, and I remember, oh yes, I guess it is most likely the Ostrike, and I changed that here. I also changed the level of certainty, and the question would adapt accordingly in the list, in the top bar, on the left bar as well. So I can really see where I am all the times. Another feature that I want to show you is, I've prepared something here. If you got large text, you're most likely, when you're doing exams on pen and paper, you most likely take your pen and do markings in the text to find important things right away. And you can also do that with the BeAXi iPad client. On the right-hand side, you got this icon there which says marker. And if I put on it, it actually gives me an invisible overlay on the question where I can mark text. I can also write something down, like this is a note, like this. And I can also erase notes again. It's like really putting this invisible overlay like you maybe used from earlier on from the overhead projectors where you had invincible slides there. You can do that on the iPad client, and you can always switch there. You can enable it, disable it again. It really gives you full freedom to take notes there. I guess that's all I wanted to say for the BeAXi client so far. And if you like to use the BeAXi iPad client yourself, you can actually do that. We have a free version in the Apple App Store, which you can download with actually the same set of questions I was using just right now. You can play around, test the application, see about the usability, and build your own opinion on that. Okay, so back to the presentation. A really nice thing about a BeAXi client is that it's continuously talking to a server during the presentation. So all data is periodically backup to a secure server via a secured connection. And before this is done, the data is actually encrypted and signed. So you can really be sure that your data is safe and it's not manipulated by third parties or whatever. And the thing is, you see that the connection there to the SFTP or cloud server, and what you could actually do during an exam, and which is not very unlikely to happen, is that the wire between the cloud server or the connection, not the wire, the connection actually breaks down, or for some time, or for the whole exam time, and that's actually no problem. You have this continuous synchronization, but if the connection breaks down for no reason ever, you can still conduct the exams. So you're not required to have a network connection. If the connection comes up again, the synchronization just takes place as before. And the good thing about it is, if, however, an iPad should break down, you can just replace it, and the examinee can continue where he left off initially. So maybe one fact to that, we're using at the medical faculty, at the moment, we're using 200 iPads, and me personally, I haven't seen an iPad breaking down so far. So we let them fall on the ground, not on purpose, of course, but that just happens. And the iPads were still able to run. So during the exams, If you like an overview, and this is potentially interesting for staff members, we developed the BeAXi Radar, which is quite a small application that gives you an indication on which students or examinees haven't started their exam, which are actually in progress of doing exam, and also the examinees that already handed in or finished their exam. And you got additional information there about the traffic light system I introduced earlier, about the level of certainty. You can really see what's happening there. What you're going to do with this data is completely up to you. It's just the live monitoring. If you see that, for example, 10 students haven't started their exam so far, maybe you can check with them if there are technical problems or something like that. That's the main purpose of the BeAXi Radar. So after the exam, we're going back to the BeAXi Manager. Again, with question types of type multiple choice or single choice, or just question types where the answer is really clear, the BeAXi Manager actually takes the evaluation over for you, so you don't have to do anything there. It's completely automated. It's a little bit different with textual questions, because it's at times, still today, it's quite difficult to automatically correct longer texts, because just correcting or searching for keywords would not do the job, because you always have to have the context to correct them correctly. But there is still an advantage there, and the advantage is that written text or machine-typed text is actually much more readable than handwritten text, and that's the advantage that the BeAXi Manager, or in general, digitalized text can give you. You have the possibility to correct the exams automatically. You can, as we see in this screenshot, you can also review the questions per student, so you can see what each student filled in for a specific question, or you can also flip this view and go through all questions for one student if you're interested in that. And you can also export this data to Excel files, for example, to do further statistical evaluations. And you can also use the inbuilt statistical information that BeAXi Manager provides you, and that I will talk about right now. Actually, I have to say I'm not a statistician, but I think most of you are not, and that's why I keep it on a really high level here, just to give you an impression what the BeAXi Manager is actually capable of producing for you. And this is one view that gives you an impression on the questions and on the feasibility, on the selectivity of the questions. So you can actually analyze questions that are most likely need to be reviewed because they're not as clearly formulated, because, for example, many students or many of the good students got it wrong, and that's somehow a level of indication where you can be sure that you should maybe consider to review the question again. I'm sorry. So the next thing that you can do is you can send feedback letters after to the students right away, and you can tell them about their performance, about their absolute performance and the performance compared to other students. So, like for example, the first line here tells the student that subject Bildungsapparat, which is now in German, but it doesn't really matter. Their success was quite good, so they were in the best 25% of all participants. And yeah, examinees. And what's of course the most interesting thing is the number of points and in the end the mark. And you can also produce feedback letters to examiners that provided questions for the exam and may want to know what questions were actually used and what was the performance of that questions. Were the questions good? Do they need to be reviewed? And stuff like that. You can also produce feedback letters to show that. Okay, this is also a statistical information for one single student. You got here the overall performance grouped by the topics we had in the examination. The overall performance is displayed in the form of Tukey plots, and the blue line here is the actual performance of the individual student. So the student can see here, oh, here in this topic I was probably the best or one of the best, whereas here I was not that good, and yeah, my performance here is really bad. That's also some information that you can provide a student if you want. So it's not everything done automatically. The system lets you choose what you actually want to display to the students. And this is a view I like very much because you, as a person with a non-statistical background, it gives you the information just in text. So let us consider the item 27 here. It says actually the correct answer was would have been B, but you need to see this item was very difficult and has weak selectivity because 35.6% of the candidates have chosen answer D. And maybe there's something wrong with this item, so you may need to want to review that for future exams to be on the safe side there. Yeah, and I don't want to go through all the items here. That's just to give you an impression of what the BeAXi Manager is actually able to produce for you. Okay, and this is an evaluation that is specifically interesting for staff members of the organization, and it would continue on the lower bottom there. It tells you about the different marks of the students. So the cumulated marks of the student, the reached points, and it tells you what was actually the mean points that were reached within this exam, together with the interval of the what is it? The deviation. Yeah, got it. Okay, that's also something you can produce to get an whole overview of how the exam performed. Okay, now that we're using this BeAXi system, it was quite important to us to know what the students actually think about the system in general, about the iPad client and the digitalized assessments in general. So before we actually had the pilot project with the exams, we offered the students the possibility to actually test the application. So they could come to us and get an iPad for some time to test the application. That was before we actually had it in the App Store. So they could really test it. They have given an introduction on the iPad application itself to really be prepared for the exam. And as you can see here, there are rather many students that did not even take the chance to take the iPads. And from my point of view, this is because they thought, they've grown up with iPads. Let's state it like that. They are used to using iPads, and so they thought maybe they've read through the introduction and thought, yeah, well, how difficult can it be? And that's why they didn't take the chance to actually test the application. Still, you have to somehow give them the chance to test it, because otherwise you would have a problem with legal defensibility. If some student comes and says, yeah, well, this iPad application was completely new to me, and that's why I performed that bad, and that's why I did not pass the exam. So to be on the safe side, you really should give the students the access to test this application. Okay. Second survey we took there is regarding the usage of the iPad application in general. So using the iPad was easy for me. It was a statement that a lot of students agreed, and it's also through all the other statements we have in this evaluation. I quickly found the pictures, which is due to the fact that you can actually attach multimedia to any type of question, and if you do so, you have a button on the iPad application on the top right where it says, yeah, there is media in this question, and that was to trigger if the students are actually able to find what they need to find there. And yeah, the third statement, what was very important for us, the examination software is self-explanatory. And that's where our efforts were aiming at, that we have an application that is actually not that different from any other Apple iPad applications. So if you're used to use your, I don't know, calendar, mail program and stuff, you should be able to actually also use the BeAXi iPad Cloud without any problems. And to see that the most students agreed was really convincing for us. Yeah, in general, the students really agreed to the statements we've put there, and the ones that did not, which we can also see in the next evaluation, I think is most likely. Let me put it like that: we have students that are studying medicine since 4 or 5 years, and these are much more skeptical than students that just started their studies right now, because they are actually used to either the PC OSCEs we had in PC rooms, or to the pen and paper MC assessment we had. And if we want to make the change here, it's rather difficult to do it with people that are already known to what they had before, compared to the ones that don't know the difference. So if they start with the iPad application right away, there's nothing else to be compared with. And we still got a quite high level of acceptance here for the PC OSCEs and the multiple choice exams there. And I think the ones, or most that disagreed here, is because they are used to the other thing and think it was good, why should we have a change there? Which is, in my opinion, not an argument to not have a change. Okay, so that was a rather short, or not as short, introduction to the BeAXi system. And what I can state here is that the medical faculty of the University of Basel has now fully replaced or fully eliminated their PC rooms for PC OSCEs, and thus their assessments their e-assessments on Apple iPads. And furthermore, we are planning to also replace the pen and paper multiple choice exams with the iPad, or to say it like that, with E-Assessment. So you can find more information on the BeAXi system on www.beaxi.com as well. And to finish this off, I'd like to put Natalie on the last two surveys that we wanted to take. Maybe we can also leave that until the end of the discussion, because it actually wants to know from you what you would require more information on. That now you have heard this short introduction from me, and there are still some things I think that you have open questions about, and we were happy to be answering them to you, but we need to know what it is. So, okay, pricing, I thought so. Quality, security. Okay. Okay, so most it's pricing, then the security and the quality. That's what we were thinking. No one will use BeAXi right away. Okay. Maybe we can answer your questions also during the discussion. And yeah, maybe, I'm sorry, the last question is whether you participants are actually part of an e-assessment working group in general. Okay, so most of you are, which is great. So we can have a discussion on a high level here. And I think we can open the discussion right now.
I will give microphone rights to participants, so those of you who have a microphone, please use it directly if you have a remark or question. Go ahead.
Okay, I see here the question. Will it be open source? And that's actually not planned. The thing is, the BeAXi iPad client was developed with project money from Switch under others, and that's why it's actually completely free for educational institutions. And maybe David can also say something more to the financial modeling there, if you're interested in that. Okay, hope that answers your questions. I've seen that I've accidentally skipped the first questions from Arnett, which is how long does it take on average to produce for an examinator to produce an exam? And I think initially there's quite some effort, because you need time to put your assessment questions that you probably already have. You need to put them in the system, and getting used to the system, because it has a lot of functionality, can be hard in the beginning. But we designed it really to put efforts in to really ease that workflow for you. So the actual thing, let's assume that you have your set of questions, and from that set to really producing an exam, I would state that you can do that in few hours or few days, with a whole review process of the questions and the examinations. There's also, I think, and at the medical faculty, the actual problem is not to generate the exams, but rather to take all the people and the people's opinions into account to create a good exam. So you got more offline problems to solve than in the application itself. And I hope this answers your questions. Next question is there coming an Android app too? At the moment, that is not planned, because our decision to use iPads was based on some facts which I've already mentioned, and also the problem is regarding the support. Because with Apple iPads, you really got that one company that you got to go to if there are problems with the hardware, and you got the one contact you have there. With Android, it's a bit of a problem because there are many manufacturers. There's Samsung, also more producers, manufacturers, and to provide support for the hardware is really hard there. And also a point is that the Android system is actually much more open than the iOS, which can be good for some applications. For our application, since it's for high stake examination, it was really a key point that the system is as closed as possible. So you get less problems with hacking attacks whatsoever. I don't say that the iOS or the iPad in general is completely secured, but in my opinion, it's much more closed and therefore much more secure than tablets that run Android. Okay, there's quite something going on in the chat. I have to see if there are questions. Are there questions that have not been answered yet? Can BeAXi handle freehand drawing questions? Yes, it actually can, and I can show you that on the iPad. I have to put it up again. Give me a minute. Okay, there we are. Let me put it on your screen. Okay, so you should see that again. And there is a drawing question somewhere. Okay, right there it is. So the question says, please draw a picture of a colorful bird and mark his pecker with a text label. So what you can actually do there is you put up the draw tool, which is quite similar to the annotation tool that I introduced beforehand. And I can draw here a colorful bird. And I have to warn you, because I'm really a bad drawer, my bird would probably look something like this. It has to be colorful, so we have, yeah, it actually looks a bit more like a bee, I think, but just to show you that there is a drawing tool within the BeAXi iPad client, and the question also says mark pecker. So we have the pecker. I can also write text there. I can move text around and yeah, like that. Save the thing, and that would be my answer to this question. Of course, with these questions, you cannot have automatic evaluation of the question. We don't have as much technology to do that. But what you can do, you can actually export you a PDF file out of BeAXi Manager, which shows you all the drawings for the students, and then you can go through the drawings, and parallelly in the BeAXi Manager you can give the according points you want to give for that answer. That's what you can do. I see there is a question regarding what's about archiving of the student answers in case of a legal dispute. And the questions are all archived. Before they're handed in, the whole set of answers is actually signed on the iPad and delivered to the server via a secured connection. So you can really be sure that the data has not been manipulated. And what you can do then, in the case of a legal dispute, you can either review the questions or the answers of the student on the BeAXi Manager, or you can also redeploy the answers to the iPad and actually check on the iPad what the answers were. So without, of course, being able to change the answers afterwards, but you can really see what was the state on the iPad, or also check it in the BeAXi Manager and, for example, print it out for the students so he can come and look at his answers. That's what you can do there. There is a question: what is the satisfactions with the teachers as you showed data on student satisfaction? I think the teachers are less the problem so far, because what they had to do back in the times where we were using FileMaker databases, they were in contact with the examination department and exchanged questions via email or via text or Word documents also. And what we can do now is we provide them access directly to the BeAXi Manager. And let's say examiner A logs into the BeAXi Manager, he can actually set up his own question, fill in all the possible answers, define the answers that are correct and the ones that are not, can also provide multimedia files and stuff like that. And after saving the questions or the question, it is actually given to a review committee. So you can either specify a specific person that should actually review your question, or you just say, okay, I just put my question there, please review it. And this process is actually can easier be handled than in the past. So the examiner logs in, does his stuff, logs out, and then the examination department has to take care of reviewing the questions, stuff like that. So they all got their own access to the application, which they hadn't had before. Is there another question open which I haven't answered? It's kind of hard to get an overview here. Maybe Natalie or David, do you see another question that is answered or hasn't been answered in the chat, or? So the good thing about the new deployment mechanism from Apple is that you could actually remove all the applications from it. So also the built-in applications. And that gives you the freedom to not only lock maybe the application itself, but to be able to go out of the application, start another application with additional limitations there. So that's something we're about to test in the future, which was really only possible or is only possible since a few weeks time. And yes, I think the security level of the medical faculty is sufficient for a lot of institutions. Also because we're really designing in the direction of high stake exams, therefore providing the highest security level we can imagine currently.
Configurator. With the Apple configurator, you can deploy profiles on the iPad, and with the Apple configurator, you can disable auto application. You can even disable application that usually you cannot delete. So like Safari browser or messaging, and afterwards you have a really clean iPad. In iOS 8, there's new possibility. We can lock the application during the start. So if the application is started, it's locked and the student cannot go out of the application. He cannot reset the iPad, he cannot use home button, so the application
let me do that for you.
Completely nothing.
I just put two questions or
nothing else than
three questions
BeAXi.
For the very high level of uncertainty, so basically no clue.
Every
and
iPad
let me put the filter accordingly, so I hide all the answers that are not.
Then the database is exported,
and the ones,
to
of course,
file,
I haven't answered so far. They should always be visible. But as you see, my list,
you click on a button
my list narrowed
when you
down,
answer
so
the question.
I don't see question 1, 2, 4, 5, and so on,
the data is synced
because
to the server,
they have been skipped, because I have
a connection
used the traffic light system there
encryption mechanism,
to put my level of certainty, and I only want to show me, I only want to show now the questions that I'm not sure about, and the ones I haven't answered, and I can go through them.
That the data was not altered after the student committed it. We have a asymmetric sign mechanism. There is also second backup mechanism.
Anything else? Okay, and first the versioning of the questions.
But if you work without
yes,
VLAN, you
that's
have
also a big
on
issue we had to take care of in the BeAXi
as
Manager.
you can see, we have
there is actually a versioning
in the medicine. We have
version
XM,
functionality,
which are 3.5 or 4
and
hours.
As soon as you
these are really high
are
security
editing
exams,
a question,
so we had to look to a high security.
Or let's say, as soon as you're saving a question,
I hope
the system asks you if this is a minor change or a major change. And a minor change would result in the fact that it's actually the same question. The idea behind it is that if you correct a typo or something like that, you don't want to have a completely new version of the question. That would generate a huge overhead.
But we didn't implement it yet.
But you can also save the question as a major version if you, for example, reformulate it at once or provide different answers and stuff. And then you would save it as a major version, and you could always go back in the history of that question, and you can then see how the question performed in the past, maybe based on the fact how the question performed in the past. You're most likely to do changes, and you can still always go back and see your performance or what the question looked like in the past.
If there aren't any more questions, then I would like to end the webinar here. Thank you very much, Daniel and David, for the presentation of the BeAXi. It was really interesting to see, and I hope also that many participants are going to switch to BeAXi now.
That's what we are hoping to. Thank you for your attention, and if you got further questions whatsoever, feel free to contact us. You can find our coordinates on beaxi.com or k2prime.com.
Nice.
I think David will just post the links there.
We didn't show inside the presentation. There are a lot of
and
options
also I will publish the
because
recording
the
of this
time is not
webinar
that long.
afterwards on the website of the
As you
eduhub
can see,
webinar,
if you
so you can watch it
question with the traffic light, there's
again
also a
if you like.
filter. So
Okay,
the students
thank
can
you
mark some
everybody,
questions
and
as
see you next
unsure or
time,
don't know.
and enjoy your
And
lunch, and
the
bye bye.
exam he can skip the questions, the
Have a nice
answer
day. Bye
sure
bye.
and unsure question, and he can review the don't know question.